Stocks trade ranged ahead of Christmas with several overseas markets, including the US, set to shut sessions early. Energy and realty clock some gains, even as metals and financials lose some ground. And rupee drifts lower, hitting fresh lows of 85.18 on a dollar, buying by oil importers, even as RBI is yet to step in, says dealers. Pressure on rupee was expected due to the rise in dollar index and the expected month-end dollar buying at home. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India has recommended giving prepaid customers the option of buying only voice and SMS packs and extending pack validity 90 to 365 days. Such a move by telecoms could lead to some downtrading. Network 18's Money Control reports that Tata Capital is likely to float a 15,000 crore rupees IPO in 2025 to meet RBI's upper layer NBFC norms. Stocks of stakeholder Tata Investment and Tata Motors perk up on news. Whirlpool inks a deal with PG Electroplast to source select washing machines. The deal is a positive for EMS players and likely offers cost benefit to Whirlpool, besides giving it Make in India caulking rights, and both stocks gain in trade. Hello, good afternoon. You've tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18 and I'm Vinny Motiwala. Markets today holding on to the green, but quite range bound. The levels that we've seen since yesterday, 23,800, around that mark. And it's roaming around those levels. It's not crossing those highs that we've seen in yesterday or today's trading session. As of now, Nifty is at 23,782, which is up just 0.1% in trade. So off the day's highest point, but it's just been in the range. It's not seeing a downtrend. So yes, that's some respite coming in on that front. Sensex too holding on to almost 0.1% of trade of gain. Let's pull out the mid and small cap. Broader markets today are performing almost largely in tandem with the benchmark indices. Not much of a difference on that front as well. And Nifty Bank, that's where the pressure is coming in. Like you saw right now, 0.1% to 0.1% decline coming in for the Nifty Bank. Broader market surely in tandem. Let's pull up the sectors that are gaining in trade today. We have Nifty Auto that's holding on to gains of almost 0.7% in trade. We have FMCG that's managing to hold on to gains, as well as Realty continues to be a mover. PSU Banks, nothing exciting that is happening on that front. So surely keep an eye out on PSU Banks and where they are headed in trade. And in terms of Nifty gainers, we do have names coming in like Tata Motors, Adani Enterprises, which is holding on to gains. Dr. Reddy's from the pharma front also managing to hold on to gains. And Trent, that's also seeing that buzz coming in and buzzing action in terms of trend, almost 1% of uptick. But yes, that's how the market is shaping up right now in terms of a move, not a bad move on that front. Holding on to those levels that we have seen, 23,700 to 800 mark, in that range is what the market is moving in. That's the Nifty. But let's move on and get the show started. And we'll talk about rupee. The rupee has actually now drifted lower, hitting fresh lows of 85.18 on a dollar buying. Now, this is by oil importers, even as you're seeing that RBI is yet to step in, is what the word is coming in from dealers. Lata is joining with us to give us more details on this front. Lata?
Dollars actually moved higher to over 108. The overnight number was 107.71, and thanks to that, pressure was expected. The rupee has drifted. Actually, what was startling, or what is startling about today's move, is that it's drifted straight away to that 85, almost 85.2 mark. It is 85.18. Normally, you would see a 5 paise move and then the Reserve Bank come in. But today, it appears the Reserve Bank hasn't yet stepped in, but bankers emphasize the word yet, because it could come at a round figure of 85.2. We don't know. In any case, this is also a holiday-thinned trading session. And there isn't so much of flows from the FII side. The dollar buying, as we noted, was largely because oil importers usually buy dollars for month-end payment of bills. And that's what has pushed the dollar, made the dollar more expensive. No one's talking of any technical levels. Some polls have been done in the market, and people are expecting the first support level for the rupee at 85.2. There are some from other, public sector bankers who expect the rupee support to come in at 85.25. But, well, these are just standard expectations, lines in the sand. The rupee will drift lower as long as you don't see FII flows or other kinds of flows in, and as long as you continue to see the dollar perk up.
Thank you so much for that, Lata. But let's move on. And earlier on the day, we also spoke to Sameer Arora of Helios Capital on who shared his views actually in 2025. What is his outlook for 2025? He seems quite bullish on that front. And he said that the overall market is not in a bull run, but rather is in a very measured upswing. Listen in to what more he had to say.
I have seen widely out of line markets. For example, in 2004, 5, 6, and 7 calendar years, the market was up 40% per annum. If you look at the 500 index, it was up some 39 point some percent per annum. We have seen periods like 1999, when the market went up some 85% and the NAV of my fund, Alliance Equity Fund, now called Birla Sun Life Equity Fund, in that one calendar year was up 280%. Those are wild bull runs. This is a measured bull run according to me. So our logic is that you will have 2 or 3 main chunks, which mostly the market has converged to financial sector, financial services, private sector banks, and some form of IT, which for 2 years we were bearish up to June of 24, and now we think IT is a good sector. We will not buy the EMS companies because our logic is that we have a benchmark, and those benchmarks of EMS companies trade at 8 multiple and 10 multiple, and in India you can make it 20 because everything is double, but you don't make it 150 multiple.
Okay, let's move on. And sources tell Money Control that Tata Capital, the flagship financial service arm of Tata Group, has initiated work on the big bang listing. Remember that the last IPO from the conglomerate was when Tata Technologies made a bumper debut in November 2023. Ashwin is joining in with us to give us more details on this one. Ashwin?
What we are given to understand from our sources is that Tata Capital, the financial services flagship of the Tata Group and the subsidiary of holding company Tata Sons, has in fact initiated work and the process for a big bang mega initial public offer or IPO in 2025. Sources are telling us that this issue could be anywhere in the region of 15,000 crore plus rupees, and these sources are also telling us that it could likely be a combination of both a primary issue of shares and a secondary component. Now, Kotak Mahindra Capital, the investment bank, and law firm Cyril Merchant Mangaldas, these are the 2 advisors that our sources are telling us have been roped in as of now. Other bankers and law firms may also be taken on board at a later stage. Now, if you look at Tata Capital, it had assets under management of around 1,58,000 crores as of March this year, and Tata Sons holds around 92 odd percent in Tata Capital. The remaining stake is held by a few other Tata Group companies and also the trust. Now, the reason why the Tatas are going in for this IPO is because under RBI norms, all NBFCs that are classified in the list of upper layer NBFCs, they have to mandatorily list by September 2025. So that is the regulatory compliance, and hence this process has begun. We are yet to hear from Tata Sons and Tata Capital. Let's keep a watch out for this big deal in the new calendar year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. But let's move on. And the Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with eminent economists and sectoral experts today in a closed-door meeting. My colleague Parikshit is joining in with us to give us the latest on this front. Parikshit, good afternoon. What are you picking up here?
Yes, this has been an annual exercise where the Prime Minister meets top economists of the country representatives of rating agencies, sectoral experts on the industry to get their views firsthand ahead of the budget. So this exercise is underway at Niti Aayog in the national capital. Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Suman Berry, also the CEO of Niti Aayog, BVR Subramaniam, are also present in this meeting. Now, the union budget, as we know, is going to be presented on the 1st of February. Discussions here in this meeting are taking place on what will it actually take to have a Viksit Bharat by 2047 and how this union budget, the next budget, can support that blueprint and vision of the government. There will also be discussions on how to deliver measures in the budget which can support growth, consumption and encourage the private investment cycle. The meeting comes in the backdrop of concerns around growth slowdown as the Q2 GDP came in at 5.4%, a 7-quarter low. So there could be discussions as to how the economy looks from here onwards and for the full fiscal year as well. There will also be discussions, recommendations on job creation, which has been a priority for the government, women-led growth, resilient supply chains, ease of doing business, and greater local manufacturing. Also, the volatile geopolitical order that we find ourselves in and how India's tariff regime can come into play to safeguard our interests. There will be discussions on that as well.
Okay, Parikshit, thank you so much for the latest update on that front. We're going to sip into a very short break on that note. And as we sip into the break, let's introduce Growth Code, a special initiative by Grow and CNBC-TV18. With the aim of empowering investors and traders, prominent investors and professional traders gathered at Grow's Trading Right event on November 9th to share the valuable insights and strategies they had. Let's hear out a snippet of the conversation of Arjun Tandon, partner at Kailasa Capital Advisor, sharing his thoughts on the risk of trading with small capital. Listen in.
Let us say anybody who wants to do option selling. तो ऑप्शन सेलिंग में लगभग 1-1.5 लाख लगता है पर लॉट. अब अगर आपको इन सारी चीज़ों का बेनिफिट उठाना है, आप चाहते हो कि मैं थोड़ा डिफरेंट इंडाइसिस में काम कर लूँ, थोड़ा पोजीशन साइज एक्स्ट्रा रख लूँ, तो मुझे लगता है 10 लाख 15 लाख इंडेक्स के लिए आपको चाहिए ऑप्शन सेलिंग. उससे कम में आप जाओगे तो इट इज़ डिफिकल्ट टू सस्टेन. सी इम्पॉसिबल कुछ नहीं है, हर चीज़ प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ की गेम होती है. प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ आपके अगेंस्ट होती जाएंगी जितनी छोटी कैपिटल के साथ आप मार्केट में आ रहे हो. अगर आप सेम ऑप्शन सेलिंग स्टॉक्स में करना चाहते हो तो नेचुरली आपको डिफरेंट स्टॉक्स में पोजीशंस बनानी पड़ेंगी. कल को किसी भी स्टॉक में कुछ भी न्यूज़ आ जाती है तो वो आपके अगेंस्ट जाएगा. तो स्टॉक्स में अगर आपको पोजीशन बनानी है तो आई फील 20 लाख के आसपास आपको चाहिए सो दैट आप एक डिफरेंट नंबर ऑफ स्क्रिप्ट्स में आप ट्रेडिंग कर पाओ.
Welcome back to Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18, and let's move on and get you the updates from the ongoing Gaza war. Israel has confirmed the assassination of the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and in Tehran in July this year. This revelation is likely to further risk tensions between Tehran and Israel in West Asia. Israel's defense minister Israel Katz also vowed to damage the Hamas and Hezbollah strategic infrastructure and beheaded their leader if they continued to attack the country. And moving on to some somber news, veteran director and screenwriter Sham Benegil passed away last evening at the age of 90. The veteran filmmaker was undergoing treatment for chronic kidney disease at Mumbai's Wockhardt Hospital. During his career, he was honored with the National Film Award 7 times and received the V. Shantaram Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018. He has also received numerous accolades, including the Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and the Dada Saheb Phalke Award. He was known for his filmography in films including Manthan, Ankur, Mandi, and Nishant. Welcome back to Business Lunch on CNBC TV18, and let's move on. 2024, that has been a year to remember for Tamil Nadu's electronics manufacturing sector. For the second year running, the state topped India's electronics export order book, and on Rewind 2024, CNBC TV18's Jude Sanath is revisiting some of the key milestones that led to the state's electronics production boom, and reports that, going by estimate, that the state is set to repeat its stellar performance in 2025 as well.
For the second year running, Tamil Nadu stood out as India's top exporter of electronics goods. At $9.56 billion in FY24, the state's value of electronics exports was double than that of Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh, and the export orders it has received between April and September 2024 are already above $6 billion. In April, Tamil Nadu not only secured the pole position in electronics exports for the previous fiscal, but also registered a whopping 78% growth over its own numbers in the previous year. Incidentally, the state accounted for $9.56 billion in electronics exports out of a total national electronics export order value book of $29.12 billion. This meant that the state approximately accounted for 1 out of every 3 rupees that India earned in electronics exports through all of FY24. So it comes as no surprise that the state's electronics sector repeatedly made headlines through the year. Investments from Salcomp, Pegatron and Foxconn fructified, and as their plants commenced production, they added extra thrust to the state's export engine. And in September, American communications major Cisco launched its first Indian plant in Sriperumbudur in partnership with global electronics manufacturer Flex.
Cisco's partnership and the announcement made a huge difference, not just for Flex in India, but also in industry in itself. High technology products, highly skilled workforce, labor force, as well as the talent. And last but not the least is the manufacturing ecosystem, which means the supplier ecosystem as well.
It's this strong and fast-growing supplier ecosystem that the state government is banking on to fuel the brisk growth in electronics exports. It hopes the number will cross $12 billion in FY25, and that's just for starters.
The already existing infra will take us to 12 now, but what we are seeing is more down the value chain coming in, more components down the value chain. The entire supply chain probably, if possible, of Apple is something which we are all looking at. But the next year would be, we are looking at really bigger numbers. Right now we are at 35% of India's output, right? We would definitely want to go up.
The groundwork for this is already in place. In January, Tata Electronics announced an investment of 7,000 crore rupees towards expanding its components plant in Hosur. Further, Taiwanese electronics major Foxconn has committed 13,000 crore rupees in further investments, and US-based Jabil has promised 2,000 crore rupees. This means Tamil Nadu will soon host 4 of the biggest global suppliers of tech giant Apple, and as more come in, $12 billion in exports may be just a portion of what the state clocks in 2025. In Chennai, Jude Sanath.
Okay, thank you so much for that. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business Lunch on CNBC TV18. Thank you so much for tuning in. But a very Merry Christmas to all our viewers out there, and hope you have a great Christmas. But before we go, here's some visuals from y'all from across the globe, as many have decked up for the year-end festivities this time. So have a great time.